Hey everybody, it is Thursday, May 27th, 2021. Bull Boom here. All right, Bulls and Bears, we're back with another dose of economic reality. Let's take a look at a lot of news today, and we're going to run through it in a very brief period. But I wanted to touch on some very interesting things that I discovered here, just some news articles. I'll give you my thoughts on it, and when we put everything together, it's going to give us a pretty good snapshot of where we're at right now in the U.S. economy. Let's go ahead and get started right here. And actually, this comes off our last two videos where housing was the main topic for both of those videos. Mortgage rates back down below 3%. And this article is about how much people can save by refinancing. And what do we usually see about mortgage rates? We usually hear and see, you better refinance now. Rates are going to rise. Rates are going to rise. Rates are going to rise. Here's the thing. Rates cannot rise. They may bump up a little bit, but the Fed knows that the rates cannot rise. The debt is too much. You may see rates rise a fraction of a percent, but before too long, things would come unraveled very, very quickly, considering the amount of debt that most homeowners are under right now. But it's not that simple. Let's take a look at the foreclosure moratorium data here. dsnews.com. Concerns grow as foreclosure moratorium date nears. Now, right now, the current moratorium, the prevention of foreclosures, is good through June 30th. So we'll see what happens, but if we are really in an amazing economic recovery, then they should just let this lapse and no more moratoriums on foreclosures. So what do you think? Please let me know down in the comments. Are they going to let this expire and allow people to lose their homes? It's about 2.2 million people that are behind on their mortgages. Or are they going to have to continue it beyond June 30th because there really is not much of an economic reality. It's just stimulus checks and the wealth illusion that's being printed and in many cases digitized, most cases digitized, handed out to the American people so they can spend, therefore making the economy look like it's doing good because so many people just spending their checks. But what I think they're going to have to do, I think they're going to have to extend it for everybody. And I think they're going to have to keep mortgage rates below 3%. Now, they could bump up a little bit higher than 3%, but they won't be able to stay there for very long. But many people say even if they do raise mortgage rates, if you have a foreclosure moratorium, then it doesn't matter. No one can lose their homes anyway. It's an interesting argument, and it's just crazy that we have to talk about these types of things here in 2021, where we may be looking at a permanent foreclosure moratorium in an economy that's supposed to be recovering. Right? Does anyone see the problems that we're having here? Is it just us on this channel? Now let's touch on the topic of the labor shortage. McDonald's giving out an iPhone, and I'm not sure if this was one or several locations, but giving out an iPhone for people to come to work at McDonald's. So now people have to make the choice. Do I want to get an iPhone and get a job? Or do I want to not work and wait for the next stimulus check and then buy the iPhone then? Guess what decision a lot of people are going to be making? And that brings us to our next article. This is out of kcci.com. Now, this story is out of Iowa, but this is true in many parts of the country. Some Iowans making more money on unemployment, others facing wage gap. Here's a story, and there's going to be some audio here, so take a listen of this person who's a nursing assistant that was making more on unemployment. Take a listen.
Unemployment than at her old job.
I'd say about a little bit better.
She's exhausted her state unemployment benefits and now only gets federal support plus an extra $300 a week. She's okay with losing the extra $300, but says she still needs unemployment to make ends meet.
The point is, I don't care about the 300. It's the point of making my mortgage.
Republicans.
It's the point of making her mortgage. So if it were not for the unemployment benefits, she would not be paying her mortgage. Right now, how many more millions of people, besides the 2.2 million people that we know are not paying their mortgage, how many more would be added to that number if it were not for the unemployment benefits? And that's why we say here it's going to have to be permanent unemployment, permanent UBI, Otherwise, you're going to see a tsunami of people not being able to pay their mortgages. But then you could take it one step further and say, again, it doesn't matter because of the foreclosure moratorium. They can just extend that indefinitely. All right, so this is just an absolutely bozo land, upside down world, twilight zone, um, cuckoo crazy economic system that we're in right now. I don't know how else to describe it. Maybe you can give me better descriptive words down below in comments. But look where we're at right now. We're at a point where we're actually discussing the topic of indefinite foreclosure moratoriums. If you would have asked somebody just a couple years ago if we would even be having this conversation, they probably would have said you were a crazy conspiracy theorist, or who knows what they would have told you. Right? No one would have guessed that we would be where we're at right now. We've been warning you that things are going to get crazier and crazier as time progresses. But I think all the output on this channel has even underestimated where we're at right now. A year past the Great Sickness was rolled out, and look where we're still at as of today. Cleveland.com, labor shortages persist. Hourly workers want more than $15 an hour. Of course they do. Of course they want more than $15 an hour. $15 an hour in many parts of the country won't even make the median rent. Right? Maybe in Cleveland or somewhere in the Rust Bucket, the Rust Belt. But there's not too many places where $15 an hour is going to get you more than a tiny, maybe one bedroom, maybe studio, unless you have really low overhead in other areas. Right? So now with the stimulus checks and the forbearance programs on the mortgages, the prevention of the evictions, people can choose to just sit back and not take the $15 an hour job. Because why? They can't get foreclosed, they can't get evicted. So any money that they do make, they can use that to spend and buy food, therefore making that $15 an hour job less attractive. And that's why you see a lot of states right now pulling back on those enhanced unemployment benefits to try to encourage people to take these entry-level jobs, the $14, $15, $16 an hour jobs. Now, let's talk about what former Treasury Secretary Larry Summers had to say regarding inflation. The Fed, quote, will only remove the punch bowl after it sees people staggering around drunk, unquote. The Fed will only remove the punch bowl after it sees people staggering around drunk. Well, people are pretty drunk right now, but if the Fed removes the punch bowl, people, they won't be able to afford alcohol. They won't be able to afford the drinks. So if the Fed pulls back the punch bowl, people are going to sober up very, very quickly. All right, but that's a pretty interesting choice of words, that the Fed will not remove the punch bowl until people are staggering around drunk. So people are pretty drunk right now. They're drunk on stimulus, that's for sure. Now, a lot of people say, JJ, you're criticizing stimulus. People need stimulus. Absolutely, people need stimulus. I'm not arguing that. If someone gets a stimulus check, absolutely take it. Don't rip it up. Don't send it back. But here's the thing. You wouldn't need stimulus checks if it weren't for the inflation that's being caused by the people that are sending out the stimulus checks. Right? It's pretty simple. Stop pumping out inflation, and then markets and real supply and demand equations will come into play, and therefore you don't need to send out stimulus checks, because then prices automatically adjust to what people can afford. It's called the free market, which we haven't had in over 100 years. But in the meantime, if they're creating inflation, supporting markets, propping up the banks, intervening in the eviction and the foreclosure process, yes, you have to have stimulus checks. Otherwise, no one else would be able to keep up with this. And you would see a lot more people homeless than what you're seeing right now, which is already at ridiculous levels. Let's wrap it up right here. This is out of Kitco. Central banks turning to gold again. Bank of Thailand buys 43.5 tons of gold in April. Right, and we've been seeing this for decades, central banks buying up gold. So on one hand, and we've heard this out of even the Fed, that they say that gold is not money, it's a barbarous relic. But on the other hand, we see central banks buying tons of gold. So what do they know? And is the end of the dollar coming near? Well, a lot of economists are predicting that. We're going to talk about that in our next report. So stay tuned. Please give us a like, subscribe if you like what we talk about here. Come back for more. Let me know what you think down in comments about a free iPhone from McDonald's. Will that lure people into these positions there at McDonald's? Just the fact that we're talking about the possibility of never-ending moratoriums on foreclosures and evictions. How crazy is this to you? Let me know. Thanks everybody for being here. Stay well, stay safe until next time. Keep stacking. Be well, everybody. Bye for now. Peace.